Hello, good evening. This is Eye on Port, a program that is proudly brought to you by the Ports and Harbours Authority, the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil Company Limited, West Blue Consulting, Ghana Community Network Services, and Serene Insurance. Our media partner is the Business and Financial Times. And people, this week, we're going to focus our attention on the Continental Free Trade Agreement because the African Union is proposing January 2021 as the enforcement date or the implementation date for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement area. It should have started somewhere around July 1st. But as a result of COVID, according to the African Union, they had to postpone this. So we want to assess the new date, the proposed new date, what it means for the continent, what it means for trade on the continent, and what member states should make out of this. What can we do to make up for the lost time and all of that? We also want to assess the opportunities that industries can harness from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement that this country has signed up to. And as a matter of fact, the Secretariat is supposed to be in this country.
The African Union has proposed January 2021 as the enforcement date for the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which has so far been signed by 54 countries, ratified by 30 countries, and deposited by 28 countries so far. The new proposed date for the implementation of AFCFTA, which is yet to be approved by the Assembly of Heads of State of the AU, became necessary as a result of the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which pushed the initially accepted date of 1st July 2021. Speaking on Eye on Port, executive member of Afro Champions and senior partner of AB and Davids, David Ofosu-Dorte, said he's disappointed that AFCFTA did not commence in July 2021 because the body could have used the period from July to 2021 to address what he termed teething problems. He said regardless of all difficulties, member states should ensure that implementation commences by January without further delay.
We are targeting 100 years late, and COVID then, among other things, became the reason why we are not starting. So personally, I'm disappointed we didn't start because I think there is nothing of this nature which will have a perfect start.
He expressed worry that some opportunities to harness the potential that one could derive from the COVID-19 pandemic may have been lost.
The COVID advantage was the period where the whole world, and to the large extent it still is, was redirecting supply routes, supply chain sources, etc. And I thought that it was the most opportune moment for those countries to have taken advantage to, for example, start with the pharmaceutical and medical industry to be able to regionalize.
He said there are enough lessons learned, but no matter how good or bad AFCFTA commences, it will not be different from other trade agreements and it will eventually benefit the continent as a whole.
COVID is a good reason, the non-preparedness is a good reason, but when people are trading among themselves, there is no perfect opportunity that you can have in order for them to start and for you to open that opportunity.
Louis Yao Afol, Executive Director of AFCFTA Policy Network, highlighted the rationale for the Continental Free Trade Area.
The coming together of 55 African countries to have a common market and to have a GDP that is now going to be in the range of about $2.5 trillion.
Yeah.
A bit lower than, or a bit equivalent to India. And more or less one of the largest free trade areas compared to the WTO.
He also cited, among others, that the regional trade agreement will ensure elimination of dependency on primary products.
Enhance competitiveness, remove TBT, to reduce over-dependency on primary products, to boost intra-African trade, and over-dependence on primary products, value additions.
Louis also expressed worry about late ratification by some member states.
The mixed news is that 47% so far, let's say we have reached where we want to reach, it's not enough. The discussion have moved away from not those who have signed, but those who have not signed. But those who have not signed will pose an issue, because then it means they're not going to benefit if the tariff liberalization was to be launched.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chum Akwabwa, said though the delay hasn't affected Ghanaian industries, players should see it as an opportunity to continue in their preparations to harness the continental market.
The delay hasn't affected us much. On the contrary, we can actually prepare and take full advantage of it.
He said Ghanaian industries are being sensitized on threats and opportunities of the trade agreement.
We have a number of products on our list that we see them as the potential products to focus on. But empowering them, I wouldn't say yes, because you need to have specific interventions developed. You need to have specific support given. If it is equipment, you need to bring them in. If it is financing, you need to arrange it. If it's technology, you need to have it done.
He also called for a robust business environment, including availability of lower energy cost, improved skilled labor, and flexible financing schemes.
Whatever models government will come up with to help reduce the cost of electricity, that would be very welcoming. And it's one of the key areas we have been engaging government on. The other areas is also the financial sector reforms, because we thought that access to finance is key.
He, however, bemoaned lack of inter-coordinated efforts among public institutions in order to have a stronger linkage that can give a clearer strategic direction.
You have different institutions doing their own things, but the coordination has to be properly done so that if you pick products, you say for these products, which market are we targeting? For these products, who are the companies producing? For those companies producing the products, what is their capacity? What are we doing to raise their capacity? What are the challenges they are likely to encounter? And what is it that we can do to support them through and through? So that coordinated effort has to be there.
David Ofosu-Dorte, on the other hand, is of the view that the private sector is equally not demonstrating enough commitment of readiness. He suggested that this is a time to create a large group of aggregators of product across the country who will bring the small manufacturers into one bulk export entity so that smaller manufacturing companies are not left behind in the pursuit of competitiveness with AFTA.
But if people could upgrade the quality of their products, what we then need to do is to focus on creating a large group of aggregators of products across the country who can then bring together these small manufacturers into one kind of bulk export entity. That is the kind of thing that the Ghana Export Promotion Authority and the rest work on. But we need more of that.
He asserted that even though there should be inter-coordinated efforts among public sector actors, the private sector also needs some rejuvenation. David Ofosu-Dorte asserted that it is only when the private sector is coordinated that they can approach the public sector with one voice.
The private sector has had the habit of doing two things which they need to change. One is the over-focus on working only with the Ministry of Trade and realize that in an era of AFTA, you are not going to work with just Ministry of Trade, but a multiple number of agencies. And if the private sector draws the attention of government to the fact that all these agencies need to come together in a coordinated manner in order for the private sector to take advantage, that will work.
In response, the AGI boss said his outfit engages all the state agencies who supervise the about 23 sectors they engage with. Louis Yao Afo, Executive Director of AFTA Policy Network, called for the liberalization of institutions of member states, which Ghana should be ready for.
You have to first identify the markets, the product, and the market goes together.
He also called for the need to have a database of market and areas of competitive advantages of all member states, including Ghana.
For example, we had somebody in Malawi who said, I want to get in touch with, what do you call it, a supplier in Ghana. Quickly, you go into your trade information repository to pull and find out which country can I connect a trader between Ghana and member country B. This is something that civil societies and private sector can position themselves, repository of information. That is it.
Meanwhile, CEO of AGI, Seth Chum Akwabwa, has applauded the move by government to empower locally assembled vehicles as some of the policy directions needed in these times. He also called for its effective implementation.
We really commend government for coming up with such a bold initiative. It is such policy because we keep saying that government is the single largest buyer of all goods and services in the country. So if you have the single largest buyer buying your products, then it means your market is open. So it gives you a big opportunity in terms of the market. So it's a good policy, except that it doesn't.
Seth Chuma Kwabwa further urged for the full implementation of the law to ban salvage and overage vehicles to Ghana.
Also, gradually, the port of TEMA is becoming the transshipment hub within the entire West African sub-region. Hapag-Lloyd is the first shipping line that has decided to make the port of TEMA the transshipment hub of the region.
A leading global liner shipping company with over 170 years of experience in shipping, Hapag-Lloyd is the first to commence a fully committed transshipment weekly service at the port of TEMA using the expanded Terminal 3 managed by Meridian Port Services MPS. Hapag-Lloyd first hinted its desire to utilize Ghana's port as a preferred port of transshipment in May 2018 when the company celebrated the official opening of its new office in TEMA.
Well, the expansion in the port will definitely make shipment into Ghana and transshipment in this area much more efficient.
Subsequently, Hapag-Lloyd firmed up the assurance to management of the port of TEMA.
They committed to something that will happen in June 2020.
Living to its commitment, Hapag-Lloyd has officially commenced a one-time weekly transshipment services which caters for the West Africa Express (WAX) to Europe and Middle East, Africa and Caribbean (MEAC) services, transporting variety of cargo and fruits in particular.
What we are seeing today is the second transshipment vessel, the second week of the launch of this service, where containers normally would have been carried from South Africa all the way up to Europe, now being carried from South Africa into TEMA. And then TEMA is used as a hub to feed Europe. And today we have 2 vessels of Hapag-Lloyd.
It is expected that the move by Hapag-Lloyd, which has seen 3 vessels engaged in transshipment at the port of TEMA so far, will begin a greater transshipment services for the port of TEMA.
And this is a great achievement, and this is the beginning of many transshipments to happen with many other shipping lines.
Operations manager at MPS, Emmanuel Ohiniado, described how the vessel connectivity by Hapag-Lloyd is done smoothly without wasting turnaround time, which is a development Hapag-Lloyd has applauded so far.
As we discharge the containers from the Mozart, we immediately connect it to the Harmonia Baltica, and it's loaded immediately. What we do is that we have trucks lined up. Once we discharge the containers meant for Europe, we direct the trucks to the Baltica vessel, and it's loaded immediately.
He encouraged many shipping lines to now see Port of TEMA as their best hub for transshipment, and Hapag-Lloyd is always a witness to quality of service and efficiency of the port's infrastructure.
Now we are serving as a hub whereby we can connect you to all various countries and various ports that we have globally. West Africa, Europe, Asia, Americas, we should be able to do the connectivity.
The MPS boss expressed the optimism that the port of TEMA has affirmed Ghana's position as a gateway to the sub-region.
So it is our prayer that with all the efforts and investment that's been put in place by the Ports and Harbours Authority, fruits like this will continue to bear out of their efforts. Our On Port returns after the break.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity. and pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Sa coronavirus yare no yare a sign pa. So obinya bi na se opo wagu so ana se obinti gu so a utumenya yare ni bi.
Okadi ni bahani onaka oyehila ekoji. Ohebanye do. Obawulo. Ogobahunu. Obachine. Ojamba wohe. Obana sen kaka. Mekme musunchon. Mekme nuni enihe.
Coronavirus infection, the symptoms can range from mild, one of it being asymptomatic. Asymptomatic just means that you may not have any symptoms at all, and the disease process can gradually worsen to be a severe form, the severest being ultimately death.
We are expected to sanitize our hands when our hands are not visibly soiled or you can't really see dirt on your hands. If you can see dirt on your hands, the best thing to do is to wash your hands with soap and the running water.
If you're using any of the cloth face masks, always make sure you have a rubber bag ready to receive it when you remove it, or you have a bowl of warm soapy water in which you can place the mask and wash. Wash your mask, dry in the hot sun for at least 5 hours, and apply heat by way of ironing.
Welcome back to Eye on Port. Next up, our local news and activities around the port and harbors industry.
Members of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana, VADOG, have called on government to ensure that all industry stakeholders are protected by the new Customs Amendment Bill 2020, Act 891, due to be enforced from October 2020, which bars the importation of what the law describes as salvaged and overage vehicles to enable a healthy, competitive, and taste-varied economical automobile market.
VADOG and its affiliates want to be heard that the only action on the part of government which will let us lower our guards as industry stakeholders would be the initiation of parliamentary procedures to amend the Customs Bill 2020 Act 891.
The union members at a press conference urged Parliament to reconsider some of the clauses and in particular the definition of salvaged vehicles as defined by the Act.
According to the definition of salvaged motor vehicles, as per the current Customs Act 891/2020, Section 151 on page 5, does not guarantee the survival of our businesses as a union.
They emphasize the ambiguity in the law regarding salvaged as capable of throwing the automobile market into disarray.
The Act defines the various terms used in the newly introduced automotive assembly industry for clarity, but deliberately fails to define the various terms used in the salvage titled vehicles industry.
The members of the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana, VADUC, reiterated that they are not against any government policy to industrialize through the growing of automobile sector, but seeks that such policy will not be done to the detriment of them who have relied on the sector to grow the national economy all this while.
International Pod News next.
Starting off in South Africa, the South African Maritime Safety Authority, SAMSA, has reported that a container ship operated by a Swiss shipping major, Mediterranean Shipping Company, MSC, lost more than 20 containers overboard during stormy weather in Algoa Bay near the city of Port Elizabeth, Eastern Cape, South Africa. The ship in question is a 9,411 TEU MSC Palak, flying the flag of Madeira. In a statement, SAMSA said, quote, "The container vessel MSC Palak sailed out of the port of Ngura at 12 noon on the 13th of July 2020 due to high winds and anchored in number 2 anchorage to ride out the heavy weather. On 13th and 14th of July 2020, a severe storm passed the South African coast, causing heavy weather in Algoa Bay. The swell height measured in Algoa Bay was approximately 3.5 meters, unquote." SAMSA reports that at 23:37 on the 14th of July 2020, a report was received from the port control that the MSC Palak had lost containers overboard while at anchor. SAMSA further said that the port of Ngura was closed for vessel traffic due to the risk that some containers may have sunk in the approach channel, becoming a danger to navigation. The authority is working with the vessel owner to ensure that all containers are salvaged. The world's largest container ship, HMM Dansk, called at the port of Xiamen in East China's Fujian province on Tuesday. The 399.99-meter-long ship has a capacity of 24,000 TEUs, with a total carrying capacity of 224,900 tons. HMM Dansk is a new ship to join the Silk Road Shipping, an alliance jointly initiated in late 2018 by dozens of ports, carriers and logistics service providers in countries along the Belt and Road. Running at its highest capacity, the Songyu container terminal of Xiamen will load and unload nearly 3,000 containers. The ship will carry goods including clothes, electronic product and mechanical product to the main harbors including Rotterdam of the Netherlands, Hamburg in Germany and Belgium's Antwerp by way of the Strait of Malacca, the Suez Canal and the Strait of Gibraltar. Xiamen is an important port for the Belt and Road Initiative. The International Transport Workers Federation, ITF, estimates that there are now approximately 300,000 seafarers trapped working aboard ships due to the crew change crisis caused by the COVID-19 border and travel restrictions, and an equal number of unemployed seafarers waiting to join them who are ashore. Explaining the figure, the union said there are over 9,500 ships which are covered by International Bargaining Forum agreement between the ITF and respective employers. These ships are operated by an estimated 370,000 seafarers. Seafarers on IBF covered ships make up 30.8% of the 1.2 million seafarers that the International Chamber of Shipping estimate make up the worldwide seafaring workforce. China's Maritime Safety Administration of the Ministry of Transport has signed a deal with the China State Shipbuilding Corporation to cooperate in the field of smart shipping and environmental protection. The agreement paves the way for the acceleration of the development of smart ships, smart transport management systems and technologies, as well as marine environmental protection technology, maritime policy, technical regulations, research and training. The duo will also work on designing maritime policies and strategies promoting decarbonization of the shipping industry. In the field of high-end marine equipment, the parties said they would work in the field of cruise ships, large-scale liquefied petroleum gas ships, and polar navigation ships, as well as Beidou satellite navigation systems. Finland's port of Helsinki has received financial support from the European Union for port investment projects on the Helsinki-Tallinn and Helsinki-Travemünde routes, as well as for installing an onshore power system for the Hanhisaari cruise services. It is reported that the investments focus on making the ports more environmentally friendly and efficient. Overall, the European Union has granted 10 million euros for the Helsinki and Tallinn ports under the Twin Port 4 project. The investment in the port of Helsinki is approximately 11.3 million euros in total, with funding of approximately 3.4 million euros. Funding was granted especially for the purpose of improving the onshore power systems and efficiency in ports, the automation of ship docking, and the ramp arrangement in the Vuosaari-Muuga route. What is more, around 3.3 million euros of new European Union funding has been granted to the Hansalink 2 project of Helsinki and Lübeck ports and the city of Lübeck.
Schedules of the vessels that are seated at the anchorage, those that are already in the port, those also expected in the coming week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rates that you need to know to clear your goods out of the port are all coming up next on your screens. That's it for this week's episode of Eye on Port. Thank you for watching, and thanks a lot to the entire crew who make the program possible, particularly the executive producers of the program, Mrs. Esi Sodoberg and Mrs. Esther Jebidonko. See you next week.